Hello everybody, welcome back. I think I share with a lot of people the fact that I've tried not to listen to the news or watch the news too much over the last few months. I found it sometimes quite repetitive and sometimes quite frightening really. But over the last few weeks I have noticed a few things, and what I reflect on is there's different voices talking to me. So you couldn't help but notice that on the last day before Parliament went into recession, it was announced that the government would cut £2.9 billion off our overseas aid budget. And our Prime Minister called that budget a cash point in the sky. And it comes on the back of the Department of for International Development and the Foreign Commonwealth Office being joined together, and worries about what that means about overseas aid. And over 100 organisations have asked if debt payments to be made by most of the poorer countries could be cancelled for this year. So it's a real life issue, that idea of international aid. At the same time, the Vatican has produced a document talking about what it would like to see after the pandemic, and it talks about how the weaker people, the weaker countries will become even weaker because of this crisis. And it talks about governments, and it talks about people taking individual responsibility for their brothers and sisters in the world. When we hear of the government cutting overseas aid and so forth, there will be many people who will agree with that. They would say charity begins at home. And people, and perhaps some of us, would say we have our own poor and we have our own worries, both as families and indeed as parish at the moment, about finances. And so who do we listen to? Who do we listen to? Certainly as Catholic Christian people, there is something very important for us to be listening to what Pope Francis said, because he bases his words on the Gospels and on the message of Jesus, whose care of the poor was paramount in his ministry. But I think I would just like to say that to follow the Lord is challenging, and it does involve different voices speaking to us and us trying to discern what the right thing to do is. And I think it's something about balance, that we have a responsibility to look after our families. That's our first responsibility. But if that's at the expense of locking out those who are completely poor, who are becoming poorer and poorer, then somehow that is not in line with what we read in the Gospels and in what the Church is saying to us. So just got to make sure that concern for our own welfare does not spill over into some sort of selfishness and just caring for ourselves. Thank you very much.